All right, guys, welcome to the Team Panacea call. We do this call every Monday night at 8 o'clock Central. You go to place to find out what's working, what's not working, some of the promos that we have. And, from time to time we have guest speakers like we are lucky enough to have this evening. I want to go over some quick housekeeping and recognition stuff, or just some news and recognition stuff, I should say, is this month they're still doing the Success Club promo. So like if you've never gotten a Success Club point and you get a Success Club point this month, you get the shirt or the tank top, whichever one you choose. I'm not sure if it's like sex specific or not. Like if you're a girl, you have to get one or the other, but I know there's two shirts there. I didn't look that deep into it. Another cool thing that I posted about in Team Pan that is really great news is they just changed the military discount so that the spouse of veterans gets their BSFs waived also. And Linda, who just jumped on the call, she just taught me something new a little bit ago, where if you sign somebody up with just the $40 sign up, then they can get that $40 sign up rebated too. Of course, if you're able to, you want to get them signed up with a challenge pack and get the points for it, but you can get that $40 rebated, and you got 30 days basically to put them on a Shakeology Home Direct or a 90-point Home Direct order, and you'll still earn those those Success Club points. This is the second month in the Make Success Club 10, 2 months in a row, and you get invited to the party at Summit. I'm going to be there. I will see some of you guys there too. And as far as recognition, let's see. The Success Club leader that we have right now is Samantha Ramsdell from Project Fearless. She's got 8 points. Our top recruiters, it's a 4-way tie with Samantha Ramsdell, Tammy Bills, Emma Richards, and Deb Bongars. All of them have 2 coaches each this week in the last 7 days. So that's fantastic. That's good stuff. And, in the team page, when I do the recognition, the volume recognition, that's just for that last 7 days, right? So some of you might look at that and you see somebody with like 1,000 points or something like that, and you're like, but I got 2,000 points. Why am I not recognized? That's because what you're looking at is that rolling 5 weeks as opposed to just the last 7 days. But so for this, just for kind of a change of pace, we're going to do the top 5 on the personal volume for the rolling 5 weeks. And it's hard for me to figure it all out sometimes with the different CBCs that people have. But if my math was correct, the coming in at 5th place would be Cody Reed with 1,911 points. Zeta has 2,171. I have 2,235. Dennis Fowler has 2,388, and Joan Crocker has 2,771. So that's some pretty decent volume over the last 5 weeks. So congrats to all of those. That's residual money. That's not all just them ordering Shakeology. You get, that 90 points for yourself counts towards that personal volume, but 2,700 points, that's retail money that Joan is making. So that's fantastic. So without further ado, then I want to go ahead and I want to introduce Mary. Mary is somebody we hooked up on the 5-star wall on the round table, and I'm going to be speaking on her call tomorrow. She's going to be sharing some knowledge with us this evening. Mary's a 7-star coach. She's been in Success Club for 50 months. That's pretty impressive. Probably almost every month, if not every month, right? If you've been a coach for 4 years with 50 months in Success Club, that's somebody who's serious about the business. They showed up and made Success Club a goal and made it happen every month. She used to be an occupational therapist, and she's a 2-time elite. An occupational therapist, it falls in line with what I see a lot with other people who they choose a job or a profession where they can help other people. And, because when they were kids, they decided, hey, you know what, I want to grow up and I'm going to get a job where I can help other people. And then maybe, as Beachbody grows, or maybe this is why they get involved in Beachbody, they're like, man, I wish I made more money helping other people. And I wish that, I could make my own schedule helping other people, especially for nurses and cops and firefighters and stuff like that, having to work holidays and weekends and having to ask off for your kid's birthday and stuff like that. So, that was a driving force for me when I decided, hey, I probably could do more if I focused more on this Beachbody thing. And so that was one of the reasons that kind of prompted me to leave and just do this full time. And it was one of the smartest things I've ever done. So Mary's going to talk to us. She's going to talk to us about her belief and how she built that story in the beginning as a full-time employee. She had a full-time job and kids just like everybody else, almost everybody else, and still made it happen. So Mary, I'm going to mute myself and try and change the speaker view so that you're big on my screen, and take it away. Thanks again for being on the call.
All right. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here to talk to y'all tonight. But what I want you guys to do for me is on the little side chat, I want to hear some of y'all's limiting beliefs. I want you to type in the chat kind of what you feel like holds you back, or what you feel like for example, when I first started coaching, I used to look at other top coaches and think to myself, oh, well, they have babysitters, so they get to work more than me, or they have that face. They have somebody doing their makeup and their hair. They have a Pinterest home that looks good in pictures. Like, what is your limiting belief? You don't have enough time. You're not smart enough or outgoing enough, or what is it that you struggle with? And I want to hear in the chat, because it always kind of helps me when I'm talking to y'all. But I'm going to start just with my story. I have been coaching a little over 4 years, and I started as the challenger that nobody wants. Like, you all know that challenger. You've all probably had that person that you've coached. I was desperately searching for something that worked. I was an athlete in college, played water polo. And then after I graduated, I was going to the gym, doing classes for like 2 hours a day, cutting calories, a lot of unhealthy things around nutrition. And then I found out that I had to get a hip surgery that would put me totally immobile, non-weight bearing for 3 to 6 months. So workouts weren't going to happen. And for the first time in my life, that was taken away from me, my ability to exercise. That was my sanity. That was kind of like, where I worked things out is sweating, working out. And so I knew that I had to do something, right? I had to do something to get my nutrition under control before I was sitting for 3 to 6 months. So I found a coach on Instagram. She graciously let me join her challenge group with sample packages of Shakeology and a pirated version of Pio, which I didn't tell her. I told her I had bought the DVDs from the internet, but really my husband had illegally downloaded them for me. And my upline is Ashley Smith. She's in the top 10 right now, an incredible coach, incredible mentor. And she let me into her group. This was maybe the second month that she was coaching. Went through that group. I was hooked, but then I still was like, I'm not drinking this Kool-Aid. I am not paying that much for Shakeology, especially when I'm about to have a surgery and I don't need a protein shake because I'm not going to be working out. Stopped drinking Shakeology. All my cravings came back, and I remember sitting down with my husband after eating half a bag of Starburst and saying, I've got to figure this out. I've got to figure out a way that I can stay on Shakeology because it's the only thing that's ever helped my cravings, my sweet tooth, and has made my body feel normal. So that's kind of where my whole coaching journey started. I signed up for a discount. I was put in the team page, which is not really normal anymore, but that's what happened to me 4 years ago. And I started catching the fire. is what I like to say. I mean, I heard other people talk about their friend that signed up and has lost 20 pounds, and I just wanted some of that. I was like, well, I want to help somebody lose 20 pounds. And it's just like what you said is I went to school to be an occupational therapist because I liked to help people. But I always knew that once I had kids, I wasn't going to work anymore. And so I liked helping people, but I didn't like somebody else calling the shots. I didn't like having to show up and do 12-hour days when I was supposed to be there for 8. I didn't like working every holiday or having to find my own coverage or working on a Sunday so that I could have Thanksgiving Day off. Not for me, didn't want to do it. Knew that once I had kids, I wasn't going to do that anymore. So started this coaching journey. Now I'm flipping back. You're going to have to I'm kind of all over the place, scatterbrained. So pay attention, follow along. But I started coaching as a discount coach, kind of caught the fire, but still didn't take my business seriously at all, you guys. And so when I say that I've hit Success Club for 50 months, I've been coaching probably 56 maybe-ish. My second month, I did not hit Success Club. And I also didn't care because I had no goals for my business when I started out. If you would have told me back then that I'd be a 2-time elite coach leading a top 100 team, I would have laughed in your face, making 6 figures, way more than I ever could in the career that I got my master's in. I would have laughed at you because I had no goals for this business. I refused to sign my husband up because I was like, Emerald, whatever. I remember telling my upline that I would never be a diamond coach, and now I lead a 7-star team. So I started at ground zero. I mean, I kind of started below ground zero. You know, most coaches that come into this business want to do something, whether that's pay for their own Shakeology or pay off a car, pay off some student loans, retire from their job. You have some kind of goal, right? But I think I struggled so much with those limiting beliefs is what held me back. I'm not pretty enough. I don't have a social media presence. I don't have enough followers. I don't have anything important to say. Why would anyone be following my journey? I'm not where I want to be physically. Who wants me to be their coach? So I struggled with that, but I still kind of showed up. And I think the only thing in those early months that really kept me going was my stubborn personality. I heard coaches all the time say, be here in a year, or don't give up before something big happens. And I just didn't want to be that person that gave up. They were telling me, 8 out of 10 coaches quit within the first year. And I'm so stubborn, I didn't want to be the status quo. I didn't want to be that percentage that quit. And so that's the only thing that kept me going. I got pregnant. I had my first daughter. I knew I was staying home. And that's kind of when I really began to grasp what Beachbody was for me. That shift from having a career to staying at home was hard. That is hard for a lot of people, any kind of big life change. And to have something underneath all that was a constant, Beachbody, my challenge groups, my coaching work. And I just showed up every freaking day. Y'all, I worked a full-time job before that. And about the 4 months before I got pregnant, I was showing up every day. And that meant 30 minutes, that meant an hour, but I showed up every day. I wasn't moving my business forward fast, but I was committed. And that compound effect is what kept me going. I went 1 star with my husband, which is pretty dang depressing when you're trying to get your team to run with you and the only star that you have is yourself. And it's frustrating. I wanted to give up so many times, but I wouldn't let myself. And that compound effect, I don't know if you've listened to it or if you've read it, but if you haven't, go do it. I was just pumping that well, and I knew at some point it had to break. And so I just kept pumping. I just kept telling my team, we're gonna do this. Whether you come with me or not, we're doing this. And I just kept running. And whoever ran with me, that's who I was pouring into. And so I just kept doing those daily activities. You all know them. If you don't, go find a new coach training on YouTube where you can figure out those daily activities. But just doing those activities every single day and showing up every single day, no matter if I hadn't slept that last night because I had a newborn, no matter if I was working a 12-hour day before I wasn't doing my job, no matter what, I showed up. And my team saw me show up. I did those invites, and I call it eating that frog on my team. I tell them when something is hard, you have to go eat that frog. And I remember when things shifted for me is when there was a month where I was like, you know what? I'm going for no, and I'm eating that frog. And I'm going to do as many hard things this month as possible because I want my team to do hard things. And I remember telling them, there are 2 people on Instagram who I want on my team. One, I've never met in real life, and the other is someone that I grew up with and went to elementary school with. She's a gym rat, super intimidated by her. Why is she going to want to do these at-home workout programs when she's found something that works for her? Her body's amazing. She doesn't need any kind of solution. But for some reason, I felt this overwhelming sense of urgency to invite both of them. And I told my team, y'all, I'm going to do something really hard. I'm going to challenge you guys to do something really hard. And I invited them. And I invited them more than once. And eventually they joined my team, both of them, that month. And that's when my momentum started to roll. Not because I got 2 rock star coaches, but because I finally believed that I could mentor an actual team that was more than just me. It wasn't because I signed up 2 great coaches that are still my diamonds today. It's because I started to believe in myself, and my team started to believe in themselves. And from there, we went from a 1-star team to a 5-star elite team by the end of the year, all because we kept pumping that well. We poured belief into each other, and we saw the potential of this business. And so I don't know what I'm going to read, kind of what you think is kind of your limiting belief, that you don't have enough time, that you're not good enough, confidence, that you don't know the right things to say, a time, that you're not photogenic. Yeah, all of these things are things that I thought. You don't connect with people. They don't connect with you. You're not interesting. And I think that all of these things are wrapped up into why we can't lead a team, right? Whether you have a team or whether you have no team at all, I feel like all these beliefs kind of stem back to ourselves. Why? But if you don't believe that you can lead people, no one's going to trust you to lead them. I think a big turning point for me was when I took the focus off of watching everybody else and decided to embrace who I was as a coach. I am not Ashley Smith, my upline. I don't know if any of you know her, but she's a mom of 2. She's pregnant. She's always put together. She's got this other business. Her house looks like it's from Pinterest. She's always eating healthy. That's not me. And as soon as I stopped trying to be like that coach that I admired, that's when my business also started to move forward. When I started believing in me. Me, who am I? I am the hot mess mom. Look at my plate. This is my office. I've got toys, and I'm not picking them up tonight before I go to bed. Sorry, I haven't meal prepped yet this week. Actually, I don't think I've meal prepped in like 2 weeks. You know, I'm not wearing any makeup. I don't know if you can tell. I never wear makeup. You're lucky that my hair is down. I actually showered today. This is me, and this is my brand, and this is who the people that relate to me. You're not going to look like that. I'm not photogenic. I haven't taken a photography class. If you go to my Instagram, it looks not like a professional page. And hear me when I say this. I am not saying be a mess and air your dirty laundry on Instagram all the time. I'm not saying don't try and find good light for your picture. I'm saying find you and tell your story, not somebody else's. Take the focus off of them and start believing that you are a good coach, that there are people who know and trust you and that you need to help. They're not going to come to me because I don't know them. They don't trust me. They don't relate to me, but they relate to you because of who you are as a coach. But you have to share that, right? Like, you can't just expect people to know that. You have to tell your story on Instagram. As raw, as real, as uncomplicated as it is. Don't be somebody else. Don't pour time into graphics, into crafting the perfect post, into 20 minutes, into finding the best picture. Just share your journey and trust that those people are going to come to you. Those people are watching you already. It's your job to get out and invite them. It's your job to share your story. It's your job to start believing in who you are as a coach and stop wasting time on the other stuff, comparing graphics, trainings. Not that any of that is bad. Hear me, that's not bad, but it's where you focus. You've got to shift your focus from all those things that keep you busy to things that are going to move your business forward. And I think that's where your business can shift. When you start believing in you and who you are as a coach, taking your eyes off of the comparison, all the things that make you busy, and instead focusing on the things that are going to move your business forward, your business, the way that you run a business. And so 2 years ago, that's kind of where my business was. Again, I said it before, but we went from 1-star to 5-star elite. I found my team and we are still running. Not to say that there have not been a lot of up and downs. There absolutely have. I've had another pregnancy. I've had another baby. We moved states. We're in a new house. I had 2 C-sections. Lots has happened on my team. There have been highs, there have been lows, but still I'm showing up every day and I am unapologetically sharing my journey, being true to my words. I don't have a big Instagram following. I have about 6,000 followers. It's actually probably under that today, who knows? But I started this business with 300 friends following me on Instagram. 4 years later, I only have 6,000, which in the Instagram world is not big at all, but I'm still building a team of my people, sharing my journey and pushing my business forward slowly but surely. And so don't think that this is just something that you do in 3 months or 6 months or a year. It's that compound effect. Keep pumping that well, keep sharing, and start believing in you and in your team. And that's kind of all I have to say and share with y'all tonight. Is just kind of a pep talk, especially because I feel like this is the time of year that's hard. It's right before Summit. A lot of you are like, I hope you're going to Summit, but a lot of you are trying to hang in there until you get refueled from Summit. And so, I think that this time of the year is just, we need a pep talk. So that's it.
So I'm interested in, can you share with us a little bit how you went from 300 to 6,000? I think that, growing an Instagram audience is something that maybe a lot of people struggle with. And, for the same reasons that you were talking about, that they don't think that people will be interested in following them or have you. So how did you do that? Will you give me some nice stuff, please?
Yeah, so it's definitely changed a lot as Instagram has changed, right? I remember being a new coach and just really struggling with what to post. I wanted valuable content, and so I would spend hours researching and trying to come up with something that would be valuable to someone, not really realizing that my story is valuable, right? It doesn't have to be these facts about your Shakeology or your Energize or these facts that you're learning from Ultimate Portion Fix or whatever it may be. Though sometimes those are good, something that's valuable is just sharing that this workout was a struggle, or getting up this morning to work out and push play was not what you wanted to do, or that your kids are driving you insane, but that this business is something that grounds you. Today I shared, I got a root canal earlier this afternoon, and I shared that most of the time I am on my Instagram talking about how much I love my job because I get to create my job. But even still, that's not the case every day. I'm human. I didn't want to work today, so I didn't. And I spun it to sound like I'm my own boss. I love working most of the time, not every day. And that's the freedom that I've created and now have in Beachbody. So just being real and vulnerable and, again, owning your own story has helped me a ton on Instagram, mainly with engagement. I always say that you could have 75,000 followers, but if they are not engaged with you on your journey, you've got nothing. And so I think to share the things that nobody else really wants to say, but that everyone else is thinking, is key, without oversharing, right? You don't want to be that coach that's like always down and sharing all the crap, but sharing it in a way that is authentic and real and positive, even though what you're sharing might be hard. And so my Instagram has just slowly built. And a big part of that is but what I'm posting is just my content, like I just talked about, but also behind the scenes. I used to add like the minimum amount of people, like 5 new people a day or whatever my tracker had told me at the time. And that's just not enough. Like, it's not going to move the needle forward very fast, adding 5 new people each day, because everybody has a ratio of how many people are going to follow you back. For me, it's about every 10 people that I follow and engage with, maybe 1 will follow me back. So if I want 10 new conversations today, I'm going to need to add 100 people. 100 people that I could connect with to get just 10. And so putting in that work behind the scenes and upping those numbers, even though it sounds crazy, it sounds like adding 100 people. Oh my gosh, I can't add 100 people. Yes, you can. Yes, you can, and just freaking do it. You don't have to overthink it, just do it. And that's grown my Instagram of real engaged people.
Anybody have any questions or comments or anything? I don't want to just be the only one talking. I don't want to take up all our time. You have to unmute yourself, though.
Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, awesome. Mary, my name is Dennis. I'm one of Chris's leaders. I've been in this in about 9-ish years. I've been a lead a few times, kind of lost my way. Beginning to regain steam. Anyways, I just want to really echo what you said about being you. I mean, there are like so many Beachbody coaches out there. It seems like they're professional photographers, right? It's like, holy crap, could that picture be any more perfect? And then like today, I took a post-workout selfie and I'm like, man, this looks like crap. But I'm going to post it anyways, and I'm about to post it right now. So thank you for solidifying that mindset even more. The way that you postured that to us on this call was great. It was a great reminder about who gives a crap. Post it anyways. It's never going to be perfect. It could probably look a whole lot worse. Throw a filter on it. Heck, I don't know. But thank you for being honest and transparent with that. It was a really needful reminder.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, just to kind of piggyback, y'all, I'm a real person. I have made a 6-figure business I'm sitting at my desk because I've never had an office until we moved at the end of October last year. I've sat at this desk once, and it's right now on this team call. I built a 6-figure business from my couch with 2 little girls running around, working in the cracks of the day without having to miss time for my family, and without anyone else telling me what to do. And I'm a real normal mom. No one's doing my hair. I don't have a personal shopper. I look like a hot mess most of the time. At the elite events, I'm not shopping for a $300 dress to wear. I'm pulling one from the back of my closet because it doesn't freaking matter. What matters is that you find your people, you find your team, and that you show up every day. I just can't explain enough the power of consistency. And even when you don't feel like it, and even when you feel like you're going nowhere or you're running through mud, don't quit before something big happens. Do not quit before something big happens, because it will. You keep pumping that well, you're going to be here. Maybe it only takes you a year. It took me 4, but maybe it only takes you a year to be earning 6 figures or more. This business is real if you show up. So,
I think to piggyback also on which I'm not muted. Okay. One of the things that kind of makes me groan when I'm mentoring people is they send me a message, and sometimes I don't get to it right away, and it's like, hey, how's this post look? And and I look at it like, they sent it to me like 12 hours earlier or yesterday, and I'm like, hey, sorry, I didn't see this sooner. How'd that post work out? And they're like, oh, well, I didn't post it. I'm waiting to get some feedback. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. Just throw something up there. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Some people will delete those. I think that, we had Christina Battaglia on the call a couple of weeks ago or last week, and, and you just leave it up there. It doesn't matter. And, because one of the things that she said was she had a post that like 1 or 2 people liked it, but she found out later that this girl who didn't even like it, but signed up, she was like, that was the post that made me say, okay, I'm going to do something about this. And, I love that what you're talking about, don't quit, because one of the things that I've always said about this business in particular is coaches do 2 things. They either give up on themselves and they quit, or they succeed. Those are the only 2 things that happen. You either give up and say, oh, you know what, I can't do this, and give up on yourself because you're lacking that belief, or you succeed and you make it happen. Let's see, and I think that a lot of us probably are frustrated when, you're like, man, I wish I could find somebody as motivated as me. If I could just find somebody as motivated as me. You look at your downline and your diamond, or, your only emerald at the time has the same last name as you because it's your spouse, or, most of your diamonds in some cases might be your additional CBCs, and you're like, why can't I find somebody like me? And the thing is, you can, but, if it takes, like you said, if it takes 100 people to find somebody like you, signing 100 coaches, if you're signing 2 coaches a month, then it's going to take you 4 years to find somebody like you. So, but if you add that number, if you sign 8 coaches a month or 4 coaches a month, then you're cutting that time in half or cutting it down by 75%. And the things really don't have to be perfect. And it is, goals are so important. Your why needs to make you cry. Your why needs to drive you. While somebody else is maybe thinking of their question, could you speak for a minute about working your business while pregnant? Because I know that for a lot of us, when you've got a coach and they're killing it and they're doing great and they're rocking along and they're like, hey, I'm pregnant. You're like, oh, shucks, they're about to disappear. And that happens with a lot of young ladies. So how did you go through 2 pregnancies and still focus on your business and make Success Club while you were pregnant?
Yeah, so that's a great question with a very simple answer. My first pregnancy, I was still working full time, nauseous all the time. From if my eyes were open, I was nauseous. Everything made me sick. It was miserable. I'm not a good pregnant lady. So working full time, and I just came home, and because I had gotten in such a habit of working my business, it was habitual. And then I had my daughter, and I went through a second pregnancy as well. Was not working full time, but because I was in such a habit of working my business, I don't know why pregnancy would be a reason to stop. I literally shared my journey. I changed nothing when I was pregnant. I didn't feel like showing up more often. I had to change my hours around a little bit, but I just did the things that I was used to, the things that were habit. It was like, I knew these are my things I'm going to get done every day, whether I got them done in the morning or not, which I had to stop waking up in the morning because I was so sick. I just did them at night. Or I found that pocket in my day where I felt the most energized to be able to work. But I think the biggest part for me was just sharing my journey. And to be quite honest, my business exploded when I was pregnant because I showed up, I was real, and I shared my journey. And then I shared my postpartum transformation. I was what we always say, I was a product of the product. I clung to this stuff like it was my lifeline because it was. And the second I took, if you ever take yourself out of the challenger role or out of the participant role, that's when things start to go down the tubes. That's when you lose your joy in coaching. That's when you lose your joy in this business because you've stopped the reason you started. And so I just was always a challenger. I always was a product of the product and proof that it was working through a pregnancy and through postpartum.
Awesome. Does anybody else have a question? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I wasn't sure if I did it right. When she said about adding people, if you've gone through your warm market and you're not quite sure, you get the same people that like your stuff, you go in there may be family, there might be extended family, either on Facebook or Instagram, I get a little lost with where to go sometimes to get those extra people. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I'm no Instagram expert by any means, but one of my favorite things to do is I go to another page that I like. Let's say Jillian Michaels, for example. This is a bad example, so don't go to Jillian Michaels' page. But for example, some other page that you like that has a ton of followers, right? I click on their most recent post and I look at everybody that's commenting. and I literally scroll through their comments. I look at their little tiny bubble and I think, is that a female around my age? Yes. Follow. Why? Because they're following something that you already like, whether it's fitness, maybe it's Joanna Gaines, I don't know, something that you kind of, oh, my kid's crying. Something that you like, and then you just kind of look at their bubble and see if they're maybe your niche. Like, I don't follow men, that's not my thing, so I'm not going to follow like guys. But that's an easy way to know they're already engaged on something that you also like, a common interest. And then if they follow you back, that's when you can engage. And I might add, when I look at their little bubble, I will go to their profile and like a couple of their pictures and comment if their profile is public, so that you show that you're like not just following like a random person following them.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that adding people is so important, and it's one of those things where people, they just get in the way again. They have that limited belief about, well, you know, why will this person's going to wonder, why are you sending me a friend request on Facebook, or why are you doing this, or why are you doing that? And you know, and for me, I mean, I share my stuff, you know, I share on Facebook, but I mean, I got on Facebook because I was a Beachbody coach. When I signed up, you know, my coach told me to get on there, and you know, now I've got 4,800 people on Facebook, and then a few thousand followers. But it's so important to add those people to whichever social media platform you have. When we were talking in one of our training groups recently, we were talking about reaching out to 50 people a day, right? Somebody was like, I'm going to reach out to 50 people a day. And, you know, somebody else who's been a coach for a while was saying, well, you know, that would take me like 10 days. And, you know, that may be so for a lot of people, but you need to be adding your people, you know, you need to be adding to your audience every day. I mean, that's part of the business. That's why it's on the tracker. And you know, again, to kind of go back to one of the other things that we've heard on a past call is, you know, one of the speakers was like, you know, I know that I'm finished sending invites or adding people on Facebook because they tell me that they're about to put me in jail, you know, and that's when I know that I've sent out enough invites for today. And, you know, and that's me too. You know, I've got that, you know, being a guy, I include Cody in my invites, but it's like, hey, you know, hello, young lady, Cody and I are starting a new fitness group, and we were thinking maybe it would be something you would be interested in. How's that sound? Or something along those lines, question mark, send, new person, send, new person, send, new person, send. And the vast majority of those people aren't going to reply. And I used to be one of those people who, when somebody would send me one of those, I would be like, does this ever work? You have no idea who I am. This is the first thing you've ever sent to me, you know? And so it's not something for a cold market that it's going to work a lot. But I'm telling you, as I've decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to send 30 of those messages a day or 20 of those messages a day, whatever, you know? Every yes that I get is a yes that I wouldn't have got if I had that limiting belief that, you know what, she doesn't want to hear from me because I've never said anything to her before. And, you know, that's where some of my Success Club points have come this month. So.
We had a guest speaker on our call, on my team's call last month, a good friend of mine. Her name is Rachel Johnstone. And she said, with inviting, she said, think of it as when you're inviting, every no that you get is worth 25 cents. But you can't cash in your money until you get to $100. Right. That's a lot of freaking no's. But if you stop once you get to $25, you have nothing, because you're not going to push until you get to $100. And so that really like put it into perspective. Like you don't get to cash in until you get to a certain amount. And by the time you get to that amount, you've hit Success Club. You've made way more than $100 because of your commission. And, you know, you've gone past that fear of inviting.
Right. You know, and I don't want to keep us all night here, but the fear or being fearless about inviting is so important. Again, you know, like somebody said on one of the other calls, you know, sometimes she messages people and her invite is, hey, I saw that you clicked like or that you were interested in my fitness group. And they were like, no, I didn't. And she's like, really? That's weird. Well, anyway, let me tell you about it. And, you know, and she knows that they didn't, right? But she's just like, oh, that's crazy. But, you know, it gets those people to be like, you know, it starts a conversation, even if the conversation is, no, I didn't. You know, it's being that kind of fearless that, you know, that was Christina, and she just went 15-star, you know, went from 5 to 15 in 6 weeks. And, you know, that level of fearlessness is what it takes. All right, one more question. If somebody has something, and if you don't say it in the next 10 seconds, I'm not asking again, because I do that at the end of every call. Ask over and over and over again. All right. Okay, so thank you very much, Mary, for being on the call. I'm going to, I look forward to being on your call tomorrow and chatting with your team. And thanks everybody else for being on the call. And for those of you who are going to be watching the recording later, thanks. And just post in the comments what your takeaway was, and see you guys on the boards. Thanks.
Thank you.